Okay guys, welcome back. So today we're going to talk a little bit about driver off the deck.
Yes.
We haven't done that yet. We haven't spoke or discussed, or even ever have you hit a driver off the deck?
No, I haven't hit a driver off the deck in I don't know how long. It's going to be interesting, but it's kind of a fun one that you see. We were just saying off camera, like you see Fowler do it a little bit, and Bubba and a couple other guys, long par fives and stuff where they can chase it up and they have some space. I think it's one that just people look at as kind of, I don't know, the sort of the hardest shot to hit and pull off well.
Yeah.
While on the course.
Well, it's definitely something, you know, coming from the UK. On the links is used a little bit more.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it would be for sure. Because as you say, you can use the kind of terrain a little bit more and kind of run it in. And obviously, when severe windy days, keeping it down is a real premium. So we're going to discuss obviously driver off the deck, and we're going to compare it to 3-wood off the deck, and kind of discuss the pros and cons of each, and then talk a little bit about how to hit a driver off the deck.
I could probably use some of that instruction as well.
And there are some subtleties and some things that really help you, you know, influence the dynamics that make it either go well or not
terrible,
so well.
right? Yep. Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I think the one key thing before we really get into it is to understand that you are going to miss-hit the golf ball.
It's kind of physically impossible to think when the ball is on the ground, turf's here, that you're going to hit up there. It just can't possibly happen.
Exactly. And the thing is with obviously, if I kind of turn this kind of somewhat side on here, like you say, you're going to hit it a little bit low in the head. The only way to get that ball to move up the face, and you can probably see as I do that,
a little bit of gear
leaning the shaft forward is the way to move the strike up the head. So it really depends on your launch conditions and your impact conditions, whether you're really even capable of that. The scoopers of the world will really have a hard time with that one because they'll always hit it a little low in the head, even off a tee. But if you do lean the shaft a little bit, this is the type of shot that really plays into that player's hands. That's why a Koepka, someone like that, who does lean the shaft forward a lot, is more than able to do it.
So he can get the strike high enough that the spin isn't going to be 5,000 or something.
He isn't going to get the gear effect.
Super gear effect. Because no matter what you do, obviously the launch is going to be, I mean, you're not really going to launch it higher than the loft of the driver, I would think.
Absolutely.
I don't know how you could, right?
Almost certainly, and that's the one thing when we look at where launch lies relative to delivered loft. So normally we're rocking that kind of plane. So you've got the spin loft going on. So you've kind of got you've got delivered angle of attack.
This is angle of attack?
Yeah.
Okay.
You've got delivered loft.
Yep.
And launch angle will occur between those.
Between the two of them.
So depending on strike point,
it
will depend on where it launches between those. So if you launch it low in the head and the head tilts downward, you're going to get obviously a lower launch. And then if you strike it a little higher in the head, you can actually get that launch up a little bit. So influencing that launch by doing that is obviously key. So we'll talk a little bit about that, and that's where looking at 3-wood, we will probably be able to discuss the less deflection from the shallower head.
Right, makes sense. So what do you want to start with? You want to hit some 3-woods?
Why don't you get some baseline 3-woods?
Okay.
Get you warmed up.
With my 3 I was really I was afraid you're going to say driver off the deck first. Good one.
Very, very good there.
Good too, a little more in the heel.
That's nice.
Yep.
Really like that one.
Good. That's good. Like that.
Yeah. Okay, a few more of those.
Okay. Nice. A little higher up the face.
Get in. Really hold that one. Good. All right, let's pop some. That's a really good first effort.
It's not bad, yeah. Actually surprised it.
Nice.
That was a good one.
That was really nice.
Yes.
Okay, Matty boy, not easy.
Nope.
Driver off the deck is probably as difficult a shot as there is to play.
Yeah, I would say it's probably more difficult than like even a long iron would be. Because just because the shaft is a good 5 inches longer than a 3-iron would be.
And you do it so infrequently.
Yeah, that's true.
We always talk about 3-wood and why it can be a real challenge to fit people to, because it's the longest, least lofted club that you hit off the ground.
Good point.
And this is another 2 inches and another kind of normally 6 degrees less.
Yeah, right.
In loft, so 5 or 6 degrees less. So really, really challenging to hit the 3-wood off the ground. And in a second, we'll kind of explain the people who should maybe look at doing it more and the people who should probably always avoid doing it.
Yeah, that it's not going to be suitable for.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So let's look at our little comparison page here, Matty. Obviously, as we know, on average, we're going to get less ball speed.
More loft.
Yeah, a little more loft. There was about a 2.5 mile an hour club speed difference, fine. The interesting thing was how efficient you actually were.
Surprising, to be honest.
Yeah, by nature of the kind of average strike location, if we go over and have a quick look at that, the average strike location was 12 millimeters low.
Yeah.
On the 3-wood, it was 5 millimeters high.
Right, so which explains that spin differential there quite well. I mean, I probably don't normally get my spin that low with the 3-wood, but I normally strike it way lower in the head. Yep. So I'm probably getting a little bit more out of it than usual, which is good.
And one of the things I've done with your 3-wood, I actually turned it down a little bit in loft.
Oh, you did? Okay.
So what I wanted to almost kind of show though is, are you better going with a strong lofted 3-wood in these types of situations, or are you better just to try the driver off the ground?
So what was the loft on this 15?
14.25.
So it's kind of this would be like a strong, those
heading towards that
2 or 3 woods that we see, right?
Yep. And that would be a pretty flat kind of 3-wood. It wouldn't certainly be a high one. You normally use a 16.5 degree fairway wood. So that was only flighting at 91 feet. Your ball normally flights around 110 feet.
Right. So it definitely brought the ball quite a bit down from where it would normally be.
Exactly. So when it comes, Matty, to whether you can or cannot hit a driver off the deck, it really comes down to your angle of attack. It comes down to swing direction.
Yeah, that's path.
Right. So kind of swing direction a little bit. Path plays a part in that, and that would be one of the measured components. But swing direction is a little bit different from path.
Okay.
So swing direction being a measurement of the base plane of your golf swing. So if you think about,
new for me.
So if you kind of take that golf swing and you tilt basically the base plane of it, that changes the low point of your strike.
Oh, okay.
So the more we tilt that, and in your case, the more we tilt your base plane of your golf swing to the right.
Yep. So kind of like this versus like this.
The low point is going to be further out to in front and to the right. Which is more advantageous to getting that handle forward than the strike up the head.
Oh, okay.
So if we were to get your swing direction too much left,
which it usually is,
you're either going to drop kick it, catch the ground, or you're going to hit it really thin because your low point is slightly before the ball.
Okay.
So that's the biggest things, guys, to understand is, where is your low point when you're doing this? Is it in front or is it behind? TrackMan has a great feature that actually, measures low point now.
Oh, does it?
Based off of swing direction, angle attack, and path, and all these sorts of things.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the beauty of having a radar that is tracking the CG, the golf club.
Right.
So, we're looking at your delivery here, and you've been more downward today with certainly these swings than I've ever probably seen you. We're normally used to seeing you hit up quite a lot.
So we were joking. Well, last week even, my path was way into out, hitting up on my driver like 6 or 7.
6 or 7, yeah.
So I had a good lesson with Larry 2 days ago, working on getting everything more neutral.
Yeah.
So thank God we did that, because I wouldn't have been able to hit even the 3-wood very well.
Yeah.
I would have needed a 5-wood to help me get some kind of loft on it. But
some people watching this might remember the last time the President's Cup was played in Australia, obviously way before this one.
Yep.
Tiger had just started working with Sean Foley.
Okay.
And he was specifically working on some long irons for the Australian links. And he was making these swings that looked like he was literally just swinging so far over the top.
I remember that.
And all he was doing is exactly what we're talking about right now, because when Foley inherited Tiger from Hank Haney, the reports were that he was around, at times, 8 degrees into out.
Tiger was?
Yep. The only way that he could hit it straight was to heel it. Jeez. Because he had the club coming so far from the inside, and he would either hit a hook, a block, and the only time he could ever really take that curvature off it was to heel it. Jeez. And hit a straight one. So at the time, everyone's going, Foley's got Tiger coming over the top. That was purely an understanding of Tiger's swing direction and what he needed, because he was playing a 2-iron that he was hitting that stinger. He'd moved the ball position back enough that he had to swing over the top to counter how much that he was already inside.
Right.
He's moved the ball back more, so it's going to be more inside. So he has to counter that by shifting his swing direction to the left.
Right.
So that's what zeroes everything out. So it gets him more downward in the angle of attack and zeroed out on the swing direction.
Crazy.
So understanding the 3 dimensions that are going on is really the key, and it's kind of the hidden, I call it the hidden art form of club fitting. Understanding which club to give someone based on what they're capable of.
True.
Right? So if I see someone in here that is 5 into out and 5 up with the driver, and the next club I'm going to fit them for is a 3-wood, the last thing I'm thinking of is getting them into a low lofted 3-wood.
True, it needs to be probably like a 4-wood, shallow face club that helps them get the ball.
Potentially go a little shorter on the shaft, things like that, trying to get the club to move down a little bit more. The last thing I want is the club to be more shallow and more behind them, just where they're going to struggle. The more the club is shallow and kind of and behind them and more inside, the more they're going to obviously try to rotate that club over. So face in motion and rotation is going to lose loft, like we always see. So that person's going to always struggle to flight that club. So understanding the delivery dynamics and mechanics is really the key to selecting the right club. Before we go, let's bring up.
You want to go these two?
Yeah, let's look at these two, because we were comparing a cluster of drivers off the deck and a cluster of 3-woods off the deck, and the 3-wood ended up flying quite a bit further.
Yeah, for sure.
But if we look at, I got Matt to hit one off the deck. I said, tell me one that you really hit well, and interesting to see how much sort of better that one was than the cluster of drivers off the deck.
For sure, it launched a bit higher, it spun a little bit less, and it had way more speed,
and
obviously,
way more speed
because it was struck better.
That's the biggest.
And this was cool because they basically ended up going the exact same distance.
Same. So really, the moral of the story here is pick your poison. What do you need?
Yes.
Do you need something that flies, 280 into a headwind, so it's going to be way less affected by the wind, rather than getting it up and climbing?
True.
Or are you going to hit it a little bit higher and get it to ride the wind if maybe you're a little downwind?
And also the landing angle was pretty interesting, because that's different. Another 4 degrees shallower landing angle. If you're playing links, it's going to go. It's going to go a lot faster.
Exactly. So you see again back to Royal Melbourne, and you see some of the flights the guys were getting at times, and getting the ball to hit the ground, and if they get the right angle of descent, the right landing angle, they can get another 30-40 yards of chase out it. Whereas if it's coming in from 120 feet, obviously come down at 40-42 degrees, it's going to land significantly softer.
It doesn't matter if the ground's firm. The landing angle obviously kills so much of the speed if it's directed downwards. Cool.
All
right.
Excellent. Okay, guys, hope you enjoyed that one. A little bit more of a technical dive into dynamics and different options that you might have if you've got a long second shot off the ground.
Yeah, some good stuff in there for sure.
Excellent. Okay, see you again soon.